Asia is the largest continent on Earth. Spanning over 17.2 million square miles, Asia comprises about 30% of Earth's total land area and 8.7% of Earth's total surface area. It also serves as home to more than 4.6 billion people as of June 2019. Asia contains 49 countries, though that number is open to interpretation, as well as a handful of sovereign territories and special administrative regions. Many of Asia's countries are influential global figures, including China, India, Japan, and South Korea. China and India have the world's largest populations, with 1.44 billion and 1.39 billion people, respectively. They also boast two of the largest economies in the world. China's economy is the largest in Asia and second largest globally, while India's ranks second largest in Asia and fifth largest globally. There are several metrics that can be used to measure the financial health of a given country, including GDP per capita (PPP) and NI per capita. While each method is slightly different, their results are remarkably consistent. While the order may change, every method pinpoints the same 10 countries as the poorest countries in Asia. Number 10. Myanmar. Officially the Republic of the Union of Myanmar, also known as Burma, is a country in Southeast Asia. It is the largest country in mainland Southeast Asia and has a population of about 54 million. About 26% of Myanmar's population lives in poverty, particularly in rural areas, where about 70% of the population lives. The main factors contributing to slow economic growth are poor government planning, internal unrest, the lack of foreign investment, a large trade deficit, and inadequate infrastructure and know-how to take advantage of the country's natural resources. Number 9. Timor-Leste. Having just become independent from Indonesia in 2002, inflation is strongly affected by government spending. 257 growth has been slow, averaging just 2.5% per year from 2011 to 2021. Most of the country is very poor, with just more than 40% living under the national poverty line. This poverty is especially prevalent in rural areas, where many are subsistence farmers or fishermen. Even in urban areas, the majority are poor. Overall, women are poorer than men, often being employed in lower-paying careers. Malnutrition is common, with over half of children showing stunted growth. While 91% of married working age, 15 to 49, men were employed as of 2016, only 43% of married working age women were. There are small disparities in favor of men in terms of home and land ownership, and owning a bank account. 94% of domestic fish catch comes from the ocean, especially coastal fisheries. 66% of families are in part supported by subsistence activities. However, the country as a whole does not produce enough food to be self-sustaining, and thus relies on imports. Number 8. Pakistan. Officially the Islamic Republic of Pakistan, is a country in South Asia. It is the world's fifth most populous country, with a population of almost 242 million, and has the world's second largest Muslim population. Although Pakistan is very rich in natural resources, some 40% of its population lives in extreme poverty. Reasons for this dysfunction include governmental corruption and elitism, religious and secular conflict, and a lack of democratic ideals. The country also spends the largest part of its national expenditures on defense, spending only 2.6% of its total GDP on education. As a result, roughly half of Pakistan's people are uneducated. Number 7. Kyrgyzstan. Kyrgyzstan was the 9th poorest country in the former Soviet Union, and is today the second poorest country in Central Asia after Tajikistan. 22.4% of the country's population lives below the poverty line. Despite the backing of major Western lenders, including the International Monetary Fund, IMF, the World Bank and the Asian Development Bank, Kyrgyzstan has had economic difficulties following independence. Initially, these were a result of the breakup of the Soviet trade bloc and resulting loss of markets, which impeded the republic's transition to a demand economy. Number 6. Nepal. Nepal's poverty is due to political instability and corruption, a lack of industry, and its dependence on agriculture. Despite being rich in natural resources, Nepal has not utilized and capitalized on its resources by exporting them to other countries. Number 5. Syria. Syria rarely shares official economic data, so economists must rely on their best estimates, which paint a bleak picture. About 80% of Syrians lived at or below the poverty level as of 2017, a 45% increase since 2007. The main cause of the sharp rise in poverty is the Syrian civil war, which has destroyed healthcare infrastructure and educational facilities. Education is one of the best ways out of poverty, and roughly 50% of Syrian children no longer attend school because of the conflict. In recent years, Syria has also experienced very high levels of inflation, reaching its highest level of 121.29% in 2014. Number 4. Tajikistan. By most any measure, Tajikistan consistently ranks as the second or third poorest country in Asia. A lack of infrastructure stagnates Tajikistan's economy. Many skilled people leave the country to search for better work opportunities, leaving Tajikistan with one of the world's largest remittance economies. Additionally, Tajikistan's civil war during the 1990s destroyed approximately one-fifth of schools in the country, taking away children's ability to receive an education, one of the largest factors in reducing poverty. Number 3. Yemen. Yemen is ranked 168th out of 177 countries on the United Nations Human Development Index, HDI, which indicates that Yemen is one of the world's least developed nations. Yemen's poverty stems from its ongoing civil war, corruption, and economic mismanagement. Because of the civil war, more and more Yemen residents are falling below the poverty line. About 79% of the population lives under the poverty line, and 65% classify as extremely poor. Number 2. North Korea. North Korea may actually be the poorest country in Asia, but the nation's notoriously secretive government rarely shares its data, so economists much rely upon expert estimates. Poverty in North Korea is attributed to poor governance by the totalitarian regime. The free market is nearly non-existent in North Korea. As of 2020, it is estimated that some 60% of North Korea's population lives below the poverty line. Number 1. Afghanistan. This mountainous nation is burdened by ongoing armed conflict, government corruption, and prolific income inequality. After the United States and United Nations withdrew their troops in mid-2021, the Taliban retook control of Afghanistan's government. While the long-term impact of this change on Afghanistan's economic situation has yet to be seen, the Taliban's ongoing conflicts with ISIL, as well as its forcible shuttering of female-owned businesses and refusal to allow girls to attend school, are widely viewed as conditions unlikely to lead to a more robust and stable economy.